What's up folks, how's it going? This is Waj. Hope you guys are all doing well. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Samsung Galaxy Tab S5e, which got launched just a few days ago here in Canada. And we're going to compare it directly against the current generation of the iPad Air, which is the third generation for 2019. Now, to keep things as streamlined as possible, we're just going to talk about the specific advantages that this tablet has over the iPad Air, as well as talk about some of the advantages the iPad Air has opposed to the S5e. Now, first and foremost, you can see that this has a very slim bezel. It doesn't have any home button, so it is very similar to what you would encounter with the new generation of iPad Pros. And it even looks very similar in terms of its squared off edges. It has a aluminum body construction, so it's up there with the build quality that you're going to expect from a premium grade tablet. The other big thing is that the screen size is the exact same, about 10.5 inch, but this has a smaller footprint. And if you look side by side, you can also see that it's slightly thinner. This is about 5.5 millimeters in thickness versus 6.1 millimeters in thickness. The Samsung is also about 50 grams lighter, which definitely makes a huge difference in the hand. And unlike the iPad Air, you can actually hold it with one hand like you see me doing right now, which is fairly difficult on the current generation iPad Air, mostly due to the fact that it's a 4:3 aspect ratio versus this is a 16:10 aspect ratio. Now that definitely has its advantages when it comes to watching videos. You're going to have less bars on the top and bottom of the display, which is awesome if you're going to watch TV, movies, things like that, versus you're going to encounter large bars on the top and bottom on the iPad. For web browsing, certainly the 4:3 aspect ratio has its advantages. Now, when it comes to the display quality itself, which is the main selling feature, I think, on any smartphone or tablet, this definitely has an awesome display, as you would expect from a premium grade Samsung product. We're looking at Super AMOLED OLED technology with a native resolution of 2560 by 1600 versus the resolution on the iPad Air is about 2224 by 1668. Given those numbers, from a pixel density count, the Samsung actually has a higher PPI count of about 288 versus about 265 on the iPad Air. And definitely in real life, when you look at this tablet, you can see that everything looks super clear, super refined, pretty much no pixels to be seen even when you're super close up. The same experience is generally shared with the current generation iPad Air, but you have just a slightly higher level of crispness on this display compared to my experience with the current generation Air. Now, another notion on the display is that since we're using OLED technology, the black levels are going to be slightly deeper on the Samsung, which definitely makes a big difference if you're watching at night. The black levels aren't too bad on the LED IPS backlit display on the iPad, and it is definitely brighter outside, but if you're not in that extreme bright environment, I think the overall color rendition and certainly the black levels are better on the S5e. Moving forward, another advantage is regarding audio. We have a quad channel speaker configuration tuned by Harman and AKG, and it sounds very similar to the iPad Pro, very similar in terms of configuration as well. This is actually, in a lot of ways, a mini version of the iPad Pro in terms of design, overall form factor, and certainly the speakers sound very similar. And plus we have USB Type-C integration versus we're still using Lightning connectivity on the iPad. But the iPad, funny enough, still has a headphone jack, which is missing from this Samsung device. Furthermore, another advantage is on the side over here, we have a micro SD expansion slot, so you can upgrade the internal memory configuration using that slot, probably up to 256, 512 gigabytes if you so desire, which is definitely a handy convenience and definitely not available on the Apple side. Now, the last big advantage is definitely cameras. And in terms of the front-facing side, there isn't a massive difference. Basically, you're looking at 8 megapixels over here versus 7 megapixels on the iPad Air. But it's really at the back where things make a huge difference. We have 13 megapixel stills opposed to 8 megapixels on the iPad. And more importantly, we have full 4K video quality at 30 FPS versus we're still locked to 1080p on the iPad Air current generation, which is definitely really upsetting to see. If you're going to shoot any 4K video, it's pretty much not available in the latest version of the iPad Air, versus you do have that capability on this thing, and the video quality is certainly a lot better, as you can see from the side-by-side comparison. Now, certainly one of the biggest advantage on the iPad side, definitely for me, has to be the internal specification. With the A12 Bionic processor, based on our benchmark results, it's definitely a lot faster than the Snapdragon 670 octa-core chip that's in the S5e. If you take a look at the Antutu benchmarks over here, you can see that we're getting well over 370,000 points, versus we're getting around 146,000 points on the S5e, and the Geekbench results also mirror those fairly well. Basically, the multi-core performance is around 5,700, single-core performance is around 1,700 on the Samsung, versus with the A12 Bionic processor on the iPad Air, we're looking at 4,700 for the single-core and about 11,000 points for the multi-core processor. So it's definitely safe to say at least twice as fast as the Samsung, and that definitely shows when editing videos, multitasking. The Samsung does like to tend up to kind of hang in certain applications. Although you can still game on it, you can do a lot of things that you would do on a typical tablet, and it's great for general web browsing, video watching, things like that. But if you're going to do anything multimedia intensive, video editing, content creation, the iPad definitely has those capabilities better down patted than what we encounter with the Samsung. Now, in terms of the battery specifications, we technically have a larger capacity battery on the iPad Air 3. It's rated around 7,968 milliamp hours, versus the Samsung has a 7,040 milliamp hour battery. Now, Samsung claims that you can get up to 15 hours of a day-to-day usage. I never encountered that. I encountered anywhere between 8 to 10 hours at best, versus consistently I can get over 12 hours on my iPad Air 3, and the battery life in most cases is definitely going to give you a couple of more hours on the iPad versus the Samsung. Now, at the end of the day, if you're going to use these as laptop replacement tablets, certainly with the iPad, you have better keyboard options at the moment. There's a lot of third-party Bluetooth keyboards that you can buy that will work and fit with the S5e, but official support is still kind of limited at this point. But eventually there'll be a cover with a Folio keyboard designed for the S5e that will make a good kind of a laptop replacement device if you want to do a little bit of typing with a physical keyboard on these tablets. In the meantime, I definitely think the iPad Air is a more powerful machine, certainly has more internal capabilities from a processor standpoint, but from a value perspective, you're looking at about $100 less right now. If you want to get into the S5e, you can get one for under $400, versus you're looking around high 400s, just shy of $500 for the entry level version of the iPad Air third generation for 2019 at the moment. So from a value perspective, definitely the Samsung is the more compelling tablet at the moment. In the meantime, I want to definitely thank you guys so much for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and make sure you have post notifications turned on so that way you can get our videos once they become available. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and definitely let me know what you think is the better tablet and what's the best tablet right now in the market. Love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you later. Take care.